Rebecca with the Nocturnal. How are you?
How you doing? I'm great. How you doing?
Breathing. I can't complain too much. So, friend of a friend, it's both catchy and I can tell there's a lot of emotion behind it. So,
Yeah.
talk to me about the inspiration for this song.
The inspiration for this song is just being honest. I feel like I've gotten to the place in my life where I wanted to stop making music to please and start making music to free, myself, to free anybody who's listening. And I think the best way is just to talk about real stuff. And I feel like there's so many people, men and women, who have been in a situation where, insecurities and jealousy kind of take over the relationship. And yeah, I feel like I've been victim to that, just being a musician, being an actor, and being in the happen to go here and there. I'm always getting the, hey, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? And most of the time, I don't know who it is. They might know who I am, but I have no idea. So, yeah, it's just kind of that kind of, yeah, relationship and navigating it. It's not easy.
Yeah, definitely. And trust me, I get it, especially with the way social media works.
Yeah,
It could be misconstrued.
exactly, exactly.
Yes. So, the upcoming project you have,
Mhm.
you've described it as your most honest body of work to date. So,
Yeah.
what made you ready to tell your story in this way?
Life made me ready. So when I'm doing stuff, it's never like, hey, here's what I'm planning to do. It's like, oh, this happened. I have to make music to survive. I have all this music. And in order for me to move past it artistically and creatively, I have to release it. There's other albums that I would prefer to put out before this one, but my soul and body I won't be able to move on until it's out, you know? And so that's kind of how everything in my life I like to do is just as close to the moment as possible when
Mhm.
I'm creating it and even like, releasing it. So yeah, I thought it was necessary. It was something that helped me find peace in a dark place. And I feel like I want all my fans or even people that aren't my fans, just humans in general, to know that it's not always dark. Um, just because life doesn't go the way you plan it doesn't mean it's not going the way it should be going. We kind of have our own perspective and understanding of what we think it is, but there's always something above us that's like, hey, actually, this is better for you. Just trust what I'm saying. This ain't good for you. And I'm the type of person like I'm committed in terms of, hey, if we're doing this, even if it's toxic, even if it's bad, I'm staying. I'm not leaving. And sometimes God has to do the hard lifting for you, and that's kind of what this whole project is kind of about. It's like all of the emotions you feel at the time, but I'm in such an amazing place now that I want people to know that there's a sunshine after the storm, essentially.
I would say like this whole morning, I've caught myself like repeating the line, like, we go through this again and again and again. And I'm like, and I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, yeah, you were foolish at that time. And so like I just think it's like you mentioned, especially when you go through life and like when you get out of these circumstances, the clarity you have after it, right?
Ooh, it's crazy,
And
huh?
exactly like it's like, wow, I was really looking at life through rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So like, after like we mentioned, you reflect, you have the space to reflect after this breakup, after this situation, like what's one lesson that you learned that you think you'll carry into like future interactions or relationships?
Oh, there's so much. But I think the biggest thing I've learned is my self-worth and thinking. So I'm the type of person, like, at a point I had made mistakes in my past in my life, and I thought I didn't deserve the best thing because of those things.
Hmm.
And so I settled, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, oh, well, this is what I have to put up with this, or I have to deal with this because of mistakes I made in my past. And this is like, and that's not how life works. That's not how God works. You know what I mean? And so I was subjugating myself to, I felt like something that didn't want me, or even though they may have said it or claimed it, their actions and those things, it was like, whoa, this person doesn't even really like me, I don't think, you know? So
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for me is someone that wants to see me happy and win all the time. I felt like in the relationship I was in, it was like anytime there was a win, there had to be something that was putting me down. It could never just be good. There would
Yeah.
always have to be an issue that was brought up. If something was going well, then you know. And I don't know if that was resentment or what it was, but that was just kind of what I was feeling. So yeah, just moving throughout life, I think. Also listening to my family, I think, is another thing. They were kind of like always had an opinion or a feeling about something, and I was like, "You're wrong. You don't understand. You don't know." And then I'm like, "You guys might have been right about that." You know what I'm saying? So You know?
Yeah, I think sometimes it's really hard because you're just like, you're not seeing what I see. But then
Right,
it's just
right,
like,
right.
what was I seeing?
But that's them too, though. They're like, you're not seeing what we see, right? Because we're so in it, and they're outside seeing the production and what it did for me as a person. You know, like who I was in that wasn't the same. And so, yeah, I'm super grateful. And again, this is even beyond romantic relationships. This is about grief, and this is about loss, and knowing that loss isn't the end. You know, I just lost my grandfather. Just had his funeral a few days ago, and it feels like it's the end of the world. It feels like it's over. It feels like it's done. But togetherness and family and projects and art that speaks to that is kind of what helped me get through, and that's what I always want to create in my life. I want people to be able to come to my album or come to my movies or come to my whatever and be like, oh, and connect to that and hold on to that and know, yeah, I may have almost had an anxiety attack yesterday, but today I'm feeling way better. And I'm glad I didn't believe in all of those thoughts I was telling myself yesterday, because tomorrow it gets better. And that's something that I always want to encourage, especially in this day and age with these online people saying this, people saying that, and people believing every voice but their own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I'm sorry for your
I
loss.
appreciate that. Thank you very much. I wasn't trying to down the moment, but just explaining, what I mean? This happens, it's life.
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that I feel like life has always like taught most people is that like it's all about perspective when you progress, right? So it's like if something throws like life throws you curveballs every single
No
day
one's exempt. No one's exempt.
at all. And so it's just like how do you progress? How do you move on? Do you like stay stagnant or do you like find to a way to realize this new?
Yeah, yeah. And that's one thing with music. It's always done that for me. I've taken every bad thing and I've realized that it can be something beautiful. Like I'll make a song and maybe I'm sad and I make it and then I'm like, oh, you hear those harmonies and I'm laughing or I'm happy. And I'm like, dang, this song is fire. And that came out of a place. I've just turned it into something else. And I want people to find whatever that is for them. It could be jogging, it could be running, it could be writing, it could be architect, engineering, I don't know, but find that thing that turns that pain into productivity and to assistance to your fellow man, and woman, you know what I mean?
And so when fans do hear this track,
I
what
can't.
line do you want, like what line do you hope they sit with like the longest?
I always say, I've been saying this, but my favorite line from the song is if I rip my heart on my chest and I put it in your hands, you probably complain that it's messy. I've said that before, but that's my favorite line from this. I was like, I've felt that way, and not even just with, again, romantic relationships, even maybe friendships or things like that. I feel like I do so much, and people just expect it from me, right? Because that's who I am, and even in all that I do, they'll still find something wrong with how I'm doing it.
Mm,
And I'm like, the thing that you're complaining about, you wouldn't even be able to complain about if I wasn't. You know what I'm saying?
yes,
So that type of stuff, you know what I mean? So that's my favorite bar from the song. If I were my heart on my chest and I put it in your hands, you'd probably complain that it's messy. You got blood on my hand. You got blood. You didn't see that I just ripped my entire chest open and gave him, focus on the wrong thing.
exactly. I think a lot of times, like I was just having this conversation with my one friend. I was like saying, I was like, it's very hard for people who do, like, especially like my love language is acts of service. So I
Yeah, yeah,
do, and do.
yeah,
But sometimes, like, can you give to
yeah.
me?
Right, right, right. Or yeah, yeah. Agreed. I agree. Yeah,
Yes, definitely. So, like, do you think that this track and like this project that you're working on has helped you like process all these different emotions, or do you
absolutely.
like write it after you're already emotionally settled?
No, no, no. I wrote so this whole thing. Excuse me. Aside from like maybe two records, I wrote. So got broken up with. Then 2 weeks after, tore my Achilles. Tore my Achilles. Had to fly right back to LA. And in the week and 2 weeks that I was had my cast on before surgery and all that stuff, I wrote the album. It was the quickest album I've ever wrote. Every song probably took me a few hours. Like, and you know what I mean? It was just like vomit, emotional vomit. And I'm crying in between takes. I'm putting my leg up on the desk because my leg hurt so bad. I got to let the blood rush back down. Putting the leg back down, writing the songs. Um, and like I said, I always feel like I have to write as close to the moment as possible. That's where I get the truest, honest feelings. And of course, once you get to a place where you're clear headed, you may not feel that way, but you have to have, again, I want something that people can have for every stage of their grief. So there's songs where I'm pissed off and I'm like, F you, you're effed up. And then I have songs where like, dang, maybe it was me, I messed up. And then I have songs like maybe we're just not good for each other, So it's like all of those emotions uh, are all on the album. So I just try to always create, even if I'm in a good mood.
Yeah.
I remember one time there's a record I have called Beer with Dad, and I wrote that because I was sad my dad left. My dad visits me in LA, every now and again, and he was leaving, and I was like, before I start crying, let me go down here and write a song. And the song was like Beer with Dad, just so I can it's the best therapy session I've ever had. And so I kind of just am making songs off of exactly how I feel. And I'm really grateful for it because it allows me not to explode.
Definitely. I always say like find that outlet because
Yeah.
there's far more worse outlet.
Yes, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. And I feel like a lot of your songs, like I feel like you feel the process, like you feel
Yeah.
the emotional process that people go through. So it's
Exactly.
like when you do have fans who like say like, this song helped me with this, or like this song made me think about this time. Like, how does that feel for you as an
Oh
artist?
my gosh, I've had fans come say I was going to kill myself and I heard your song. That type of stuff is like, okay, I could die today and I've done my job. You know what I mean? I really want to stress to my fellow people on earth to just do more stuff for other people, you know what I mean? And be more positive. And even if the doing something for them is you not saying something negative or you not trying to tear somebody down or you not, you know what I mean? I just feel like we live in this thing where it's cool to do that and it's a waste of energy and time. I always think all the separation that we try to do with each other, if we were to go into an intergalactic war with other people, you know how much people would be united? Like, oh my God. You know what I mean? It's like, why does it take that for us to realize that we need each other like that? It means the world to me. It feels like I did my job. Um, and it makes me want to go harder, because that's happened to me. I've heard a song that maybe has done that for me, or I've seen a movie, or and it's my job to pass it on. It's got to be a butterfly effect of kindness and of support. So it means the world to me. Yes.
Definitely, definitely. I just think sometimes, especially like when you listen to a song and you hear that one part, you're like, this will stick with me forever. And like you like
Yeah.
reciting to others and they're like, oh, where you come up with that? I'm
Yeah.
like, I heard that in a song.
Yeah. Then you have kids, and then that part comes on, like, oh, this is mom's part. Even the kids went, ooh, yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And
Oh,
like that's literally like me when it comes to music. I'm always like, oh my God, this is my song. My friends are like, every song is your song. I'm like, because you're not listening to it. Like you gotta hear it. You're not seeing the vision.
hey, a lot of people do just listen, but they ain't hearing it. Very true. Very
Okay.
true.
Okay. Some people listen to talk, but not listen to actually comprehend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, for real.
So you're currently on Grey's Anatomy, which is an iconic TV history, right? So does storytelling on screen influence the storytelling in your songs?
100%. 100%. I feel like storytelling is a part of my DNA. Like, and not even just professionally, like my family are storytellers. My family is the most entertaining family I've ever met, and I'm not being biased. They're loud, they're funny, they can all do impersonations. The only reason they're all not actors is because they may not think it's like cool to be an actor, but they could all do it. They're all incredibly, adaptive. And so storytelling has always been a part of me, but definitely when I'm on a set and I'm seeing a story from beginning to end in the way you want to drag and hold the audience and pull them and leave breadcrumbs here is definitely influential to when I'm making songs or when I'm directing videos and writing. But I always want to lead people on a journey. I feel like why start something if you know how it's going to end? Uh,
Mm.
so I always want to be like, hey, what is this? I want to. Whenever me and my brother, right before you called, we're going over stuff for the project, and we were picking between two photos, and I was like, that photo makes me go like this, and the other photo makes me like, oh, that's a good picture. And I always want people to lean in and say, what is happening, you know, and I think that's the art of storytelling. You got to make them lean in.
Yeah, I think sometimes I struggle with that myself because there's times where I'm like, I like to fast forward to the end a little bit, see what's gonna happen. If I like the outcome, then I'm gonna continue.
No, you lose the whole shebang.
I know, and it's like my friends hate doing surprises for me because I ruin the surprises for myself.
Yeah.
And it's just like I don't know. Like I like to be in control a little bit too much sometimes. So it's like
Mm.
I like to be able to control the emotions I'll have throughout what
It's
I
an
listen to.
illusion. It's an illusion control.
Yes,
But
yes.
no, hey, okay, you just said something. So you might be afraid to feel sometimes in the way that but it's beautiful. It's okay. You gotta let it out. You gotta let it out.
Definitely. I mean, listen, when I was listening to the song Friend of a Friend, I was just like, wow.
You've been
Like,
there?
especially like for me, like when you go through these different life circumstances, I
Yeah.
just feel like sometimes you have to think back to realize how far you've grown.
Yeah.
And I feel like with this song, it's just like for me, it's like, wow, you were in this place at this time, but now like you would never go back to that person
Yes. And
again.
that's the beauty of life. And the beauty of life is getting there. And then when the next generation comes, or your kids, or your nieces, or your nephews, you're able to give them tools so they don't have to step in the same pile of mud that you did. That's kind of, I feel like, our duty. But yeah, I definitely have been there too. I was a little crazy back then. I've only gone through someone's phone once, and I will never do it again. You know what I mean? But I had to learn my lesson. I was young and I was dumb. I was like, why would I do that? That was messed up. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's a conversation a lot of people have now on social media, especially they're like, "Do you go through your partner's phone?" And I'm like, honestly, if I have the inkling or the like feeling that I need to go through your phone, we need
There's
to sit
there.
down and have a conversation.
Right,
We
right,
need
right.
a conversation.
Yeah, agreed.
So you mentioned your family being like, a huge part of your life. So like when you have like, you're going through those moments, especially when you mentioned that you tore your Achilles, like what was having their support like for you? Like, them being there.
Oh, it was incredible. I couldn't shower by myself. So my brother and my mom, they'd have to help me, a lot of stuff I just was learning how to redo again. Even now, my walk is not the same. I'm like trying to figure out, like, how do I look? Am I still kind of limping? Like, I just know even my body is different, but my family is incredible. I couldn't do anything without them, especially my mother and my brother, who are my team partners. They run the company with me. They're my everything. But yeah, I don't know how anybody could do that without family. Just being there and just seeing me, because I'm somebody who's boom, 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 all the time. So me being in one spot, they're like, "Oh, this is killing him." That we know this is killing him. You know what I'm saying?
I feel
Uh,
that in my spirit.
yeah, yeah. So their support meant the world to me, and yeah, it put things in perspective. I want to create that for my kids. I want to create an environment and a family that if they were to go through something like that, they have that peace and that, because there's so many people who don't.
Yeah.
And born art is your family. Come to the born. I always feel like the Suge Knight of my born art company. I'm like, hey, if you want some love in your life, no one about on the videos, come on down to born art.
Yes, yes. Tell me a little bit more about your company.
Born art, we do music, film, and clothes, and it basically born art. The saying is, you were born loved, born beautiful, born art. It's about self acceptance, it's about self love, and it's about being free of societal pressures, cultural pressures, and creating what you want to create, being who you want to be, and knowing that that's good enough. And that's just what I want to do. I was signed to a few different labels throughout my life, and I would just never do the things that were done to me as a child, and not like anything physical or whatever, but just like how people took advantage of my knowledge and me not knowing stuff, and just
Mhm.
kind of lying to me, or kind of manipulating me in a way. And I want to create environments for talent and for creatives to truly be seen and supported by their leader, the guy who's running the company. And sometimes you'll be in the building. I was signed 5 years, and I think I met the boss maybe once. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that. I just want to be able to create environments and places where people feel seen and heard.
Definitely. I think a lot of times, especially with the way society makes things perceived and the way cultures make you think or like force you to look at things, it's like there's a lot of pressure. So I think like sometimes when you have those spaces that allow you to just move away from the societal pressures, cultural pressures, and just be in the moment, I think
Yeah.
like those are really important.
Yeah, there's so much going on that people can't even hear the voice of God, or like their inside voice or whatever. It's like as soon as they get up, I'm on my phone. Let me hear how everybody else feels about this before I have my own opinion. You're formulating opinions off of opinions instead of what's actually, you know what I mean? So it's like and I'm saying this stuff, but I'm also a victim to it too. I do the same things, and I'm trying to find tools and spaces where I can kind of, just think and be with my thoughts and know how I feel about stuff.
And your team mixes, right? They have a life of their own online. So
Mhm.
how do you decide, a song that's worth flipping into a remix?
I feel like it's songs that I would want to be on. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, I would love to. Ooh, if I had this beat. Ooh, if I had. Ooh, you know what I mean? That
Yeah,
type of vibe. Uh,
definitely.
so yeah, that's kind of how I decide and whatever I'm rocking to and really feeling. I always say if I wish I wrote a song, that's how I know I like it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So which one of your remixes would you say is like your favorite one?
I like Slime You Out a lot. I feel like I barred up on Slime You Out. I feel like I had like some cool stuff on that one. I like uh I like All My Life as well. I
Mm.
wrote that in a hotel room overlooking like this pool. And it was in a time where I was trying to I was like, I could go down here and I could party at the pool, or I could write. And so I sat up and watched everybody having fun, and I was writing All My Life, the Little Dirt. But yeah, that's one of my favorite ones. Yeah, they're All My Life.
And so I know like, a friend of a friend is a part of like a grander project. So is there a expected release date?
There is stuff coming down the pipeline. I'm very, very excited. And it is following this relationship vibe. You know, there's going to be other elements, other levels, other perspectives within the relationship that will be revealed shortly.
And
That's my double
I'm
O.
excited. I'm excited. I already love the song that I've heard already. And I can just tell, especially like if you've been through any of those emotions, which I feel like most humans have,
Yeah,
it's just something that you can follow along and just remember a time where that was you, or if you're
yeah,
currently through that.
yeah, exactly. And that's yeah, you're on it. You hit the nail on the head.
So what I guess my last question would be, what is the grand takeaway you want for your fans to have with this project and future ones?
I'm gonna just speak to this project in particular. Grief is not the end. You know, the end of something is not the end of you. And I feel like a lot of times we just have our eggs in one basket and we're like, this is how my life's supposed to go. This is what I'm supposed to buy. And then when it changes, we can make a decision. Like you said before, we can make a decision to sit in that. We can make a decision. A lot of things happen for us and not to us. And that's easier said than done when it's happening at the time. You know, me and God was talking a lot. Okay. And I was like, did I do something, bro? Did I do something? You took my leg. What's going on? But guess what? Where I'm at in my life right now, I would tear my Achilles a million times again. I would go through the heartbreak a million times again because of who I am now and how I feel about myself and where I'm at in life, you know?
Sometimes the outcome always shows a better process.
Yeah, yeah, 100%.